Alrighty, we are back, continuing our Batframe adventure, and I've did something off screen. I just built a Batframe skeleton, which is just, if you want to take a look at it, which you should. So Batframe skeleton is just the package or the skeleton that you're gonna get whenever you use Composer, create project, microframework Batframe skeleton, and then we're just gonna call it new Batframe app. And whenever you run this, you are going to get a new project that actually includes for you Batframe. So whenever we go to cd new Batframe app, and then we code it, like open it in VS Code, you can see that we are just having our application, our Batframe application, essentially just set up for us, which is just lovely stuff. So this is what I built off screen. There's nothing too cool about it. Honestly, I was recording, but then I figured out like it's not worth just making a video for it because I do respect your time. And it's not like a big deal. So it is just a project that if you want to read it, like if you want to see the code, it's of course available on GitHub, github.com/michaelyusri/batframe-skeleton. Okay. So without further ado, we want to now start working on some actually interesting stuff. First of all, add a note about Batframe skeleton to the framework README. I was about to literally just do that. It looks like AI can now read minds. So I was literally looking in the README for an entry about the skeleton, but it looks like it did not add that. One more reason why you should be following up with AI and like staying on top of it, because if you blindly trust it, it is going to make mistakes. It's going to skip important steps and stuff like that. Treat AI as a child with a gun. Dangerous, smart, but deadly. One mistake is a bad mistake. Especially that if you give it access to like important stuff. So here it updated the install section. Quick start as a recommended way to begin. Add to an existing project. This is the working tree. Change only, commit and push it. Docs change, so it doesn't need a version pump, but the live readme in GitHub won't reflect it until pushed. Commit and push it. I can just press tab to use like the autocomplete that it suggested for me there, which is going to be cool. I'm going to push that. And then we are going to start on a new functionality. We are actually going to start on a session helper. So we need to add like session helpers in our microframework because say for example, we are running like a data application and we do want to store a session in the application or like in the data. Right now we need to like manually manage that. Okay. Awesome. Now let's extend the functionality of Batframe. We need to add a session management helper. Sessions should be living the PHP default in files, but just make using sessions much easier than just use making sessions much easier, or like just abstract using sessions by making it intuitive by using a session helper class. Okay, so let's actually review the code that it did for the helpers that we have. So in support here, we do have like an environment class, We do have a config class. So this is like in the support, but we could add like a helpers. We do have a helpers, the PHP, which essentially just loads a like helper functions right here, which essentially we could add a like a helper, but like a helper function that we could use, but then the like the code or the heart of the function should be living in a helpers in the source directory. Okay, by using a session helper class that lives in a helpers directory in the source. Okay, add you can, or like, no, not you can, add a helper function in the helpers.php file to make it even easier to use the session class by using a session function, global function. Okay, it is going to be global anyway because in our composer.json we are loading that as a file in our autoload. So every function that is in the helpers.php is a global function that we can access from anywhere in the application. Okay, that is super wonderful. By the way, whoops, I did not want to do that. By the way, we don't want okay, this is me just like making asking Claude to write the video title and the video like description and stuff like that. I was going to say that we don't need to run the sandbox because we could actually just do all of our testing in the example. And in the example right here, we could just like write tests and make sure that everything is passing. But example is part of the Git repo. So what I'm going to do is that instead of like editing it and then discovering that we did, we don't need this new Batframe app, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so Batframe sandbox. So I don't want to like make edits to the example and then end up pushing them just when I was testing. So instead, I'm just going to load or like keep testing in the sandbox. That way it is like a completely isolated environment and I can mess around inside of it as I want or as I like. So this should not be working anymore because I turned off this. And then txt public, give it a refresh. Now it works. We're going to just leave that running. We're going to go back to Batframe. And it is thinking for quite a while now. I don't know why that is. Maybe I have a problem with my internet. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like taking time to read through the context, but we do have 77% left, so I don't know if it's like that much context to read through. Doesn't look like it. All right, adding session management, my design a Batframe helpers session class and source helpers that wraps PHP's native file-based sessions with an intuitive API. Get put has pull, forget, flush, flush data, increment, regenerate, destroy, plus a session global helper. It starts the session lazily. No cookies unless you use it, and supports an array-backed mode. Awesome. So it's using the array-backed mode. So like you store the session in an array in memory. That way you could test it without actually creating real files. This is an awesome design. from Claude, and we're not using plan mode anymore, even though I do still think that we should. But I believe Claude already has so much context about the application and how we're building things that I do kind of trust it right now. I know this goes like like contrary to what I said earlier about that we should treat it as a kid with a gun, but in the realm of we are letting it build things and we are actually checking what it's building. We're doing tests in the sandbox ourselves. So essentially, we are not giving it full freedom of just building and then making it push without us ever touching anything. But again, we are in a place right now where we know what Claude is going to build. We have given Claude more than enough context, and we have tested it like twice or thrice right now, or at least I did, maybe off camera, to give it like some small functions to build or like small features, and it's been doing it super well. So it has earned my trust. It's not like blind trust. It has earned it. So this is why I'm okay with not going through plan mode and then using auto mode every time. But if you're working on a project and you're building like different functionalities that are kind of unrelated, even though they are on the same project, still use the plan mode. Because different projects means like different context, different decisions to make, especially like this is still a micro framework that nobody uses. But if you're working on a real project that actually has users, you want to be like super careful. Okay. So session management is implemented. This is a new feature. So it's a candidate for version 0.30. Want me to commit. So that means it did not commit without our explicit approval. So we do have a session here that says session put. Session user ID. So in the put right here, you give it a name and a value. Read and remove. So this is the pull. You have forget, push, increment, handy counters, and then you have a flush. Okay. This is the session test. Let's go to source and then helpers and then session. Let's see what it has produced. A big comment. A thin, intuitive wrapper around PHP's native file-based sessions. The session starts lazily the first time you touch it, so no session cookie is sent unless you actually use it. Reach it through the session helper. So we have session put, ID, session flash. I don't know why these are included in the test or like in the comment. In tests, construct an array backed instance with new session false or new session swap to avoid starting a real OS session, which is like file-based. So you have a flash key, which is called _flash, the internal key under which flash bookkeeping is stored. Started, which is like a flag that says if the session has been started before. Instance, so it is only one instance. This is like a what is it called? Like when you have only one instance. I forgot the name, sorry. When true, use PHP's native session files. When false, operate purely on the session array. Mostly for tests. So this is a shared instance. Singleton, that's the name that I was looking for. So swap. Lifecycle, we have a start, is started, and then we have a bunch of methods. Let's actually go right into testing it. We're not gonna bother reading the entire code because we know the quality that we expect from Claude right now. So we do have an index. We could just go to the index page right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write session. Where's the session handler coming from? There's no class called session handler, man. So we're gonna do like session. Did we not get it? Maybe what happened is that because we're using like symlinks and the file has just been added, the auto, yeah, so this is it, but it's actually in helpers session. So then we can use like session, and then we can do set test value. So then we can set it here, and then we are going to return to it session get and then test. Let's refresh here, and then sandbox session not found. So it looks like it completely removed Batframe helpers session. And then refresh, non-static method set cannot be called statically. All right, so it looks like we cannot use the helper directly, but we can do something like that. Get test. And then it looks like we get hello from Batframe. And framework class, hello from Batframe, right here. Okay, so it looks like it did produce something similar to what we want, but it's still not what we want, because we are not able to use the session directly, but instead we have to use it as a helper. So we are only limited to using the helper method right here. This could be okay for what we're trying to do, because it looks like we are trying to just use the helper, or like we're using helpers everywhere that we're doing that. So essentially we are like using helpers in view right here, and we could like adapt this pattern that we're only going to be using helpers in order to access like the main functionalities. Okay, so for me this looks like it's working. So we're passing the session to the like the session get test right here, which is great. So that means we could like fetch that session from anywhere that we would like. Okay, so I approve that this function is a good function. Can we use it to set stuff? Looks like we can. So we can set several at once by adding an array right here. Wonderful, let's try that. So we are going to set like a test, and then we're just gonna call it Batframe is working, and then another, we're just gonna call it value. Okay, so let's refresh here. Session say argument 1 key must be of type string, array given. Interesting. Oh, because we're using the set method. All right, let's remove this, and then let's add that. Give it a refresh. Looks like it's working. But then here, let's pass another, just to confirm that this is working, and we get a value. Wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Beautiful. So, successful feature added. Let's commit tag v030 and push. So I'm gonna move this away, because whenever it pushes right now to GitHub, or actually I may be incorrect, but I do not want to expose my API token. So I just need to make sure that it's not showing in the commands that Claude is running. So yeah, we'll just be using the things here, and I just want to make sure that Nothing is leaked. It looks like we are okay. Okay, so it is done. I did absolutely nothing. I just watched. It created a new tag right now to 030, a new release. And then it like described what it was. And if we go to packages, and then we go to my packages and the Batframe, we do have 030 right now. We do have a big README. All right. So install, the fastest way is to use the skeleton, which is cool. And dependence is the Batframe skeleton. Yeah, this makes sense. So we can what can we do here? What I want is, yeah, created by automation. Not what we want. I wanted to read like the release logs, but looks like we don't have it here. But anyway, as long as we have like this and it's automatically being updated, then we are good. I don't need to bother with it. So this is great. Now it says update the skeleton to allow version 0.3. The skeleton pins means won't pull 030 until the skeleton constraint is bumped to allow it. Existing apps get it fine. I want skeleton to automatically get the latest available version of the Batframe. So don't pin it to a specific version. So that way, we don't need to keep updating the skeleton every time we actually push a release. So we'll actually get to see what kind of updates we will be doing. I don't know why it takes a little bit of time to actually think. I'm guessing because of the context, I assume. So this is the correct change. So it just changed the pinned version in the composer.json of Batframe skeleton to being an asterisk. So whatever is available as the latest version, to just do it. So now it should just push it to Git. And you can see here it is automatically adding it and pushing to... No lock file? What do you mean? Create project, no interaction, repository. Oh, it's creating it from local? Okay. The run succeeded. The first attempt was a transient hiccup. It locked microframework Batframe 030, the latest via the asterisk constraint. Now let me push the skeleton and verify from public packages. So it's going to keep doing that every time we do a push, which I think is okay. I do not want to like stop that, but if you're annoyed by this, like if you're working on something similar, you can tell it to explicitly stop testing every time you like testing the public every time you push something. So it will like stop doing it, and it's gonna trust the webhook because we've tested it multiple times and it's working pretty fine. I just hope it doesn't leak my token here. Just move it away in case it uses my packages token. So it says webhook fired okay, packages crawls asynchronously, and the CDN metadata. Let me check the primary package API and give it a moment. It's doing like a lot of testing, which I believe we can like essentially just stop and confirm it ourselves, which we can just go to GitHub, MyCuriosity, and then it is called Batframe skeleton. We just read composer.json, honestly. And there it is. It's just an asterisk. We do not need all of this testing, sir. So I'm just going to Control C to stop it. All right. We're actually going to do clear, and we're going to start fresh here. Similar to the session helper class we have in Batframe, let's add a cache. But what difference would it make, honestly? I think cache is like more long-lived and it is global instead of a specific session which relates to a specific user. So yeah, let's add a cache helper. Cache by default should be file-based, similar to sessions, and it should by default should be similar to sessions, and it should be short-lived, lived, not loved, but also configurable from application configurations, or no, actually also configurable on call, so you actually get to choose how long you want the cache to live for. Configurable for each item separately. Okay, so it doesn't make sense that we're saying it should be short-lived, and it should be configurable for each item that is saved in the cache. To make it long or short-lived, so we can like store, for example, the result of something coming from the database or something like that. Should be fine. Let's see what we get right here. I believe it's going to be super quick because it's going to use these sessions as a reference. I'll start by studying the existing session helper and how it's wired in. So the cache helper matches established pattern. It read it super quickly. Cache needs the storage directly and configurability. That sounds good. So let's open the helpers right here. We already have everything pushed, so we are okay. If we go to the sandbox, by the way, we can see storage. We have cache, and then cache is just the blade files. Okay. So it's still gonna read like the cache. Oh, sorry, it's gonna read the session helpers. Almost done thinking. Okay, it lied. It's not almost done thinking. This is a clean, well-structured code base. Let me check the README, an example to match documentation conventions. I love how it's tooting its own horn, you know? Like, this is a clean, well-structured code base. Oh man. But did you notice here that it actually needed to re-understand the application by reading the Claude MD and then reading a bunch of files? This is because we are running in a new chat that does not have context. The only thing that persists is the Claude MD file and then its own, well, not in the sandbox, this Claude MD file right here, and then its own like research. So this is why it's important to, if you didn't see it in the like in the very first episode or video or whatever, we just ran the slash init and they created claude.md, and then we told it to like keep updating the claude.md file whenever it made something new. That way, whenever we run a new session, like a new chat from scratch, it still knows what the application is about without having to reread every single file. So we have caching right now, and then we have tests incoming. I'm just amazed at the speed that the thing is just going on at. Like, we are getting new functionalities that would have taken us maybe like, I don't know, hours in literal minutes. So this is a test. This is the actual cache class. All 15 passed. Now the full suite to confirm nothing regressed. And then we have the same interesting structure for caching. And we do have a helper, of course. So we added a caching helper right here with a big comment, similar to how session has one, right? All right. Let me lint the change PHP file. What does it say? Update readme, cache, cool. So it added the readme as well. And then updated claude.md, which is great. Full suite is green, 150 assertions. Let's do our own testing. You do not need to trust it at all. So I'm going to do cache, and then we're going to just do the same thing. We're going to do this, and then we could do like cache, and I'm going to do framework. So let's see what we get. We get Batframe. And then right now it should just be loading it from cache. Now, if we go cache data, so then we get the serialized data right here, which has the value of Batframe. And this is cool. This is super cool. Super great. And just like that, we have caching. Just like that, we have caching. If you want to read more, you can go to the caching here. So we have put. And then I assume that when it tries to read the cache, if TTL doesn't equal null, TTL is less than or equal to 0, then this forget key. A positive TTL makes the entry short-lived. Null keeps it until it is explicitly forgotten. A 0 or negative TTL is treated as already expired, so the key is removed instead. Like, very self-explanatory. Forever just sets the TTL to null, which is great. There's a read function, and then read is just comparing the expires. So this is how we can tell if the cache has expired or not. Wonderful stuff. Push it to GitHub and tag it with a new version, so it gets pushed to Packagist automatically. All right, wonderful stuff. So this should essentially we should essentially let it cook for a bit. File-based cache helper. So get tag, we are tagging it with a 040, which should essentially push a new released version on packages, which we can see right here. So we don't have it yet. Refresh. It did not run for some reason. So if I go to repo right here, I can click on Batframe. Why is it saying that 0.30 is the latest? If you go to webhooks, so you can go to tags, or just go back. GitHub is still saying that 030 is the latest release, and Packagist hasn't picked it up. Let's see what Claude says about that. Let me verify what's actually on the remote. So I'm gonna like take the take it on the other screen in case it just outputs some token that I don't want to leak. My plain tag. Oh yeah. Okay, so it just released it as a tag, but not as a release. Okay, so now it should actually publish it as a release. There we go. And then whenever it does that, there we go. We do have now 040 as a release. So all what it did is just all what it did is just mark it as a release instead of a tag. Okay, so well, I guess we're gonna stop here because I do need to catch some sleep. It's 11 a.m. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm gonna keep building this in the public. I guess it's fun to just see like the power of Claude by building something that is fun. Eventually, like once we have some basic functionality built into the framework, we can use it as a like as a developer, and then we can build like a quick API with it. And then next, what we could do is actually build an MCP for this thing, so that way we could like let Claude work directly with the Batframe microframework, I guess, and then it's gonna make creating stuff with the framework much easier. So yeah, thank you for watching. And by the way, I do accept freelance projects. So if you want to like talk to me and hire me, you can go to michaelyoshi.com/hire. I do accept like a wide range of freelance projects. So if you want to work with me, then please just contact me here. And then also I do have Patchlog, which is today's sponsor, which is me. Patchlog is my own SaaS product. It is essentially a changelog, but it is a very cool changelog. So I'm using Patchlog in Patchlog in order to tell you what's new about Patchlog. So we do have some patchception going on here. So you could go to the dashboard as a logged in user, and then you will see all of your projects right here. You can see I'm using patch log in patch log, which is cool. So the last published thing is more customization. You publish stuff as markdown, and then it gets published right here. You also have a bunch of cool things. You can, if you click on widget, you can just customize the widget to your needs. Have a bunch of things to customize right here, and then you could implement it like really easily if you click on widget, and then at the end here you have the embed code. So this is everything that you need to do. You just copy this, you paste it in your application, and there you go, you have patch logs widget. So the pricing is $7 a month. So this is for to get pro, but there is a very good free tier as well if you want to just try it out. The free tier is essentially very generous, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want to get users and I want to get feedback from real users. You have any feedback, go to the feedback channel and then submit whatever you want right here. So thank you for watching. Give patch log a try if you ever want, and I will see you in the next video. I'm not sure what this is going to be about, but yeah, we will see you in the next video.